Welcome to the third hour of American Agenda. I'm Bob Sellers.
And I'm Heather Childers, and we are now joined by our family of co-hosts, co-chair of Project 21 and host of Stacy on the Right, Stacy Washington, chairman on the committee to defeat the president, and former Colorado State Senator Ted Harvey, and conservative lobbyist Quill Robinson. Welcome to everyone.
All right, tensions between President Biden and Vladimir Putin are heating up. Russia recalled its U.S. ambassador from Washington, D.C. after President Joe Biden said he believed Vladimir Putin was a killer in an ABC News interview. And then he went further and said that there'll be a price to pay, you'll see. Don't know exactly what he means by that. So the president responded saying it takes one to know one. So how is this going to affect our relations with Russia moving forward? Stacy on the Right, which I think it should be called Stacy's Always Right. So Stacy, how do you read what's going on between the two countries?
So first of all, I have to be tempered and measured in my response to Joe Biden's kind of quips and attacks against Putin, because I found them very entertaining when Trump was doing it. So in the interest of being fair and balanced, I really actually don't care what they say to each other, in these little barbed exchanges, these displays of testosterone. My main concern is whether or not Joe Biden considers them to be both a geopolitical ally and someone that we have to watch when it comes to the cyber attacks that they're constantly launching against our U.S. military and private interests. So I'd like to see President Biden come out with strong statements that lay out his expectations for the new relationship under the Biden administration, that actually acknowledge the truth of the situation, which is they have a complex relationship with us. They need us, but they hate us. They want to be us. Someone who understands that is going to do very well in a relationship with Putin. Someone who's just interested in scoring points in the media for being cool, not so much.
Yeah. Now, Ted, one of the things I think it was that Mr. Biden was trying to have a takeoff on is, remember, George W. Bush had said he looked into Putin's eyes and he saw his soul and he saw somebody he could deal with. And that didn't turn out so well. So it seems like the president was trying to take a shot maybe at the former president.
Well, I think that obviously it's just saber rattling between the two leaders. One is a communist leader and one is Joe Biden. Not sure where I would categorize him. But it's better than when Hillary Clinton went over there as Secretary of State and gave him a reset button to try to reset the relationship between Russia and the United States. I think that Russia is somebody that we need to take seriously in the way that they are trying to attack us with on the internet and in other ways as well. But we also have to work with them in a geopolitical way. So Biden's administration needs to take them seriously, and I don't think they are. I think that they are just trying to saber rattle for PR purposes.
But they withdrew their ambassador, so that's a fairly important thing, Quill. I mean, we just lost it. No, go to Ted. Ted, that does seem fairly important when you start withdrawing ambassadors, which theoretically is your connection to the leadership of the other country. That's a pretty big step, don't you think?
That is a big step, especially with somebody that is as significant on the geopolitical stage as Russia, for us to be taking away our ambassador. But I'm not exactly sure if that's not just PR again for the administration to act like they're being tough with a communist country, because they have been playing footsie with them for way too long.
Well, if I keep wanting to call them the Soviets. If Russia withdraws their ambassador, Stacy, it seems like maybe it's a shot across the bow. It's like, okay, what are you going to do when we do this?
Well, so again, can you imagine what the media would be saying now? Newsmax excluded, obviously, President Company excluded. Can we just think a little bit about what they'd be saying if President Trump had said he's a killer, right? And then they withdraw their ambassador. They'd be like, America's relationship with Russia is on the rocks, imminent war. We must be, on the brink of some kind of nuclear destruction. When the truth is, there's a lot of saber rattling on both sides. Nations do this because they want to draw attention to certain points, and they want to pressure the other side to maybe give in or give a concession, or maybe come back to the table on something that they exchanged words on and it didn't go the way that Biden had planned, or people in the Biden administration. So, I mean, it's serious, but it's no more serious than it ever has been. And I think the most important part for us is the cyber attacks. That is something that we have not yet really mastered. And I think all of the rest of these discussions distract away from that very important issue.
Yeah, and Heather, is that the threat that they are? Because essentially, it's a large oil company. That's what Russia is. They don't offer a whole lot to the world but oil.
Right, and in that respect, they do pose a problem for Ukraine, which then goes back to the Biden administration and how they'll deal with that. I was thinking, though, originally, going back to what Ted was talking about with Hillary Clinton, I was remembering President Obama, right before he took office, remember that conversation that was caught on the hot mic with Medvedev, where he said, I'll have more flexibility once I take office. So this is kind of the opposite of that. So I don't know if Biden is trying to, show his strength in that way and say, I'm going to be tougher on you than Obama and Hillary.
Ted, how dangerous is Russia?
Well, I think it depends on the scenario. I think in some areas of the world, they are helpful. In other areas, they are very dangerous. And I think that we need to take every situation seriously. I think I would also throw in there that the Biden administration and the Biden family is getting criticism for their close relationship with the communist Chinese government. And so the Biden administration is trying to do everything they can to say, look, we're trying to be serious when it comes to communist countries. And so we're going to be serious with Russia. I think that we need to take everything that they are doing when it comes to their relationships with communist countries with a grain of salt, because I don't put much faith in them when it comes to how they're managing their relationships with people who are really adversaries of our country.
Stacy, is there some way we should respond to what they've done now?
Well, I think one of the things that always impressed me about President Trump was he was very tough with the language. But when it came down to the things that came out of the White House in the way of treaties and negotiations, they were always masterfully done, and America came out on top. So the thing that needs to happen now is, if the Biden administration has not already done so, they have to evaluate what things we have on the table that we can negotiate with Russia on, and then come in good faith with a way for us to come together on issues where we can, but present a show of strength on areas where they have been bad faith actors, like the Ukraine. The Ukraine is an ally of ours, and we should be a much stronger support network for them than we have been in the past. I think it's something that we really need to shore up. So I would start there.
Yeah, and in cyber attacks, that's the other area where they really stand.
And we're importing massive amounts of Russian oil right now because of Biden's EO on the pipeline and on fracking. So there's that.
All right, we're going to stand by. Coming up, migrants flooding the border, and the crisis is getting worse. Texas Governor Greg Abbott speaking out on the issue with a dire prediction. That's next on American Agenda.